Hi, I'm Lynn.
And I'm Leo. Welcome back to Yoga with Lynn and Leo.
And continuing with our supine actions, and today we're going to come into Supta Padangusthasana 1.
Alright, so this is a leg lifting action and we're going to go through it from the beginning to the more extreme versions, and it depends on what your level of experience and flexibility is as to how far you're going to take this today.
Okay, and you're going to need
Oh yes, you're going to need a belt and a wall, preferably. We're not showing with a wall today, but because otherwise we're going to be at the wrong angle for the camera. But you have to imagine that we've got a wall at the end of the mat there, and you would put your mat to a wall or to a closed door.
Okay, so coming into a supine action. Now, if you've been following the channel and you've seen the tutorial on Supta Tadasana, then you'll understand how to go into this action. So you can see that Leo here is extending with the lower back towards the thighs and then slowly releasing down. And then gradually with resistance, straightening those legs. And as Leo was mentioning about that wall, you'll be pushing your heels towards the wall really strongly with resistance, so that you feel that connection with the wall. And this is a really good way to practice as a beginner. If you're a little bit more experienced, then of course, then you have to imagine you've got the wall and still get the leg work. So when you're in this position also, you can see with Leo here, she's got the fingers up towards the ceiling, and this is to open the armpit chest, because what you don't want to do is to completely collapse the whole of the upper chest and the diaphragm. So see that you're lengthening out the pelvis and you're getting that extension throughout the whole of the body. Okay, so we're ready to go. So releasing the hands down for a moment. Now, you're going to bend, start with your right leg, bending your right leg and extending with the belt around the sole of the foot. So you're going to extend up. Now there's a couple of key points here I want to go through. Now those of you who are beginners, this will be maybe a little bit more of a difficult action. But you have to see that you just lean the leg slightly, so Leo's leaning the leg towards the camera here, and this outer hip and length needs to move towards the left foot. So you've got to see that you get this length in the abdomen, so there's space in the leg, and then coming back. Now keeping the thigh bone extending back very strongly. And when you have a belt, it's a really good way to work with resistance. So those of you who are quite experienced, it's still a very good way to get some action into the leg. So you need to push into the belt, into the ball of the foot, into the belt, and pull on the belt very, very strongly. So you've got a two-way action into the belt, and then you pull down with the belt. So those two actions will help you to become a lot stronger in the legs. So for those of you who can maintain that action, when you bring the leg towards you, the thigh moves away from you. Also, the outer hip moves away from you. So as the leg comes, you have to see that you get this action. So it restricts your movement slightly, because we want to see that the connection of this pose comes in the right way. So when you're practicing this, see that you maintain the straightness of the leg. The thigh bone has got to move into the back of the thigh very strongly, and breathe. And then you pause and see if you can go a little bit further. But the ideal isn't how far you go, but to how straight you can keep this leg. Okay, so you can see that Leo's extending quite well here. Now for those of you who are fairly flexible, then you take your right hand and you can see if you can catch your big toe, 2 fingers and thumb in this position. And then this left hand reaches along the thigh. So this is really for when you get a little bit long in the hamstrings. It might take some time, it might be 6 months, it might be 5 years. So don't over push it, just keep the consistency with your practice. And then releasing the leg down. So I'm going to move out the way here. So now we're going to come to the other side. So we want to make the pose even. For those of you reaching into the wall, then still connect that right leg into the wall very strongly, bending your left leg, and then placing the belt. And again, the same work applies. When you extend the leg, take the leg to 90 degrees, just let the leg go over to the side slightly. You can see better on this side that Leo's really pushing the creases of the front thigh, the root of the front thigh, towards the right foot side, and then coming back. So you have to see that there's an evenness across the sacral area at the back there. Then hold on to both sides of the belt and be aware that this thigh needs to move back very strongly before it goes forward. So it's a kind of backward action to come forward. So you have to see that these thigh muscles move into the bone moves into the back of the thigh, the buttock keeps on extending towards the end of the mat. And then of course we have to be sure that there's a good resistance happening with the belt. So you push the ball of the foot into that belt and then the belt into the ball of the foot. So very strong actions. And then see if you can bring the leg a little bit closer to you. So just come into this part of the extension if you're able to. If it's too painful or too sore to come into this action, then stay at 90 degrees. And sometimes we find that for a lot of students, that is too much also. So sometimes the leg is leaning in a backward action. So it doesn't come forward, it kind of goes towards this direction because of the stiffness in the legs. The main thing is that you're making a start to try to get those hamstrings nice and long, and that's what you need to have when you're looking at becoming more fluid in your movement. And of course, those of you who are going a little bit deeper, then you can take the 2 fingers and the thumb to the foot and see if you can hold. And when you hold, you don't keep moving towards the head side, you push that thigh away. So this thigh's got to push away very, very strongly when you come into this action. And just take a few breaths, being in this position, and then releasing down. Okay, and then bending the knees and roll to your right side. And come to seated position.
So those leg lifts are always quite challenging for most of us, I have to say.
Yes, they are. The key thing is to go to them on a regular basis and don't overdo. Just come to those boundaries, breathe, and just see if you can go a little bit further.
Yes, your hamstrings won't get long overnight. You have to work at them slowly, consistently, and eventually they lengthen.
Well, we hope you enjoyed that video. We look forward to seeing you again soon. If you enjoy our videos, then please do press the like button or even subscribe to our channel.
Namaste.
Namaste.